We have the story from CNN. Food is more expensive than it has been in decades. CNN, a broken clock, right, twice a day. Bad news for American consumers. It's getting more expensive to dine out and getting more expensive to eat at home. Restaurant prices spiked 5.8% over the last 12 months, ending in November without seasonal adjustments, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said Friday. That's the largest 12-month increase since the year ended January 1982. And unfortunately, for those hoping to curb spending by turning to home cooking, grocery store prices are also at record highs. They jumped 6.4%, the largest 12-month increase since 2008. Beef had the most dramatic increase with a 20.9% spike in prices. So let me ask you guys something. What do you think was the catalyst for the Arab Spring? Do you know?
This one worker who was having a hard time making ends meet, and because of the government finding him and regulating him, he ended up committing suicide, and his story went viral. That's the essence of what I understood it to be from some of the stories that I heard. But I think, Tim, you'd know a little bit more about this.
Yes, I got the name wrong earlier. It was Mohammed Wazizi. I'm saying that wrong?
Wazizi?
I remember this guy.
Wazizi.
Yeah, he immolated himself. He was trying to, I believe what happened was he was trying to sell fruit. He was born on 29th of March, 1984, and the government kept interfering with his ability to make a living. And eventually, he couldn't, so he just went in front of a government building and dumped fuel on himself and immolated himself. And this sparked the protests in Tunisia, which started sweeping across these other parts of the Arab world, resulting, as many believe, in the Arab Spring. There were some experts who reviewed why it reached the point where people were willing to overthrow their government. And there were a few key factors, one of which was...
inflation.
Yes.
Unemployment.
The price of food.
Yeah.
So people could no longer afford to eat. What happens when someone can't eat?
Oh, they get crazy.
Do people just say, well, I got no food, so I guess I'll just lay down here and die?
Well, I mean, they do have Ramadan.
Choosing...
Fasting is good for you.
It's okay, I'm Muslim, I can make these jokes.
Yeah, there's something different about, choosing, because when you choose to fast, you're in control, and you're in control.
Right.
And the food's waiting for you.
Yeah, you don't know exactly when. Oh, totally get it.
And you can prep your body, too. Like in the day before, you load up on whatever you need for the week or
overnight.
for the day or whatever.
Yeah, and you fast from sunrise to sunset and no water.
But people
dry fast.
Yeah.
People often say, especially in the super chats here, they tell me that, one of the things I would love to stand up and talk about these issues, but I have to make sure my kids have food. So the wager right now among many of these people is that by complying with the tyranny and what they're doing with mass spending and, everything that's burning the system down, their kids will eat for a longer period of time than if they were to stand up and speak up. Because then their kids, they could get fired and they can't get food for their kids. Mm-hmm. I think what drives people towards, revolt and conflict and crisis in a country, civil war even, they can't feed their kids.
Yeah.
And it's partly about themselves.
I mean, what is the first thing? I mean, the first things is like food on the table, roof over your head, and a place to sleep, or something like that. What's that order?
I think it's safety. I think it's
safety.
Food, shelter, and safety.
Yeah,
security, like the things that cause massive stress.
Right.
If you can't eat, you're panicking.
Well, obviously, the first one is safety. But I'm just saying in terms of
the first one is food. People
maybe we're conflating things, but I meant like the usually the goal, like when you're trying to provide for your family, the first thing you always go for is food on the table. You can't provide food on the table.
Yeah, then there you got nothing.
You're screwed.
But at least you have a table. But then if you have no table, now you're cold, you're scared, and then there's violence, or the police are threatening you.
Yeah.
You have no safety. People just finally snap.
And there's stories coming out of Germany where people killed themselves because of the lockdowns and the vax mandates. There's stories of a person lighting themselves on fire, killing themselves in Australia because of the lockdowns, because of the vaccine mandates. So these stories are already happening, and I think they're only going to be exacerbated, especially here in the United States, where Americans are already dealing with some of the highest inflation in over 40 years. Joe Biden just gave an extra $20 billion for the defense budget, and there's a clear sign that when the government gets involved almost every step of the way, they are making this situation that much worse. And I think financially, socially, when people are going to see the larger effects of this, as they are already seeing the largest transfer of wealth in recorded human history, it's going to hit them hard. It's already hitting them hard, but this is only the beginning of this major wave coming our way that was produced by government. And I don't think there's any escaping it. I don't think there's any life raft.
We might be able to, if we develop fusion power and like decentralized power sources.
And then the powerful people just keep the technology for themselves and don't release it to the general public and then hide it from everyone else, just like free energy.
That would be a problem. Then we would still see a crash of the system.
Yes.
But I think the system could find some sort of resilience if we can decentralize our power sources. Other than
energy,
yeah.
But you know what happened when Biden got into office? The administration basically stripped the U.S. of energy independence. Not that I'm saying petroleum energy independence is necessarily what you are saying.
Petroleum's heavy. That's the problem with it.
But it is extremely energy dense. So America was energy
and we were a
independent.
net exporter of oil.
That's crazy, right?
Yep.
We were.
And now Biden's like, Nord Stream 2, go ahead, Russia, you get your own pipeline. And now they're like, well, it's leverage now
Well,
for Ukraine.
Have we ever entertained the possibility that Biden might be a Kremlin agent?
No, we haven't.
Actually, no.
And that one actually makes the most sense, which is funny. You know,
Hey,
not that I think it makes sense.
What, he's pressuring Ukraine to cede territory to the Russians? I mean, come on. If Trump did that, everybody would be losing their minds. That'd be front page news on everything.
Yep.
Nobody's talking about it.
Nope.
It's not even leading this show. Not to obviously.
We did talk about it. We left it last week when it happened.
You think he did it just to
I'm
be like,
sorry.
don't go to Was his intention like, hey, Ukraine, don't get involved in a hot war with Russia, just give?
Yeah.
That was his intention?
Yeah, basically.
Do you believe
That's
it?
what it seems like his intention would be on the surface, but...
What if Putin actually has compromat on Biden and he's had it the whole time? You know?
Via Epstein.
P-tape is real.
But it's Biden, not Trump.
It's probably Hunter.
No.
Definitely.
The P-tape, for those who aren't familiar, what was it? Donald Trump at a hotel?
Yeah.
In Russia.
What did he do? He peed on a bed? That Obama-
No. He paid women
Pee on a
to
bed.
release their liquids onto him.
That's way
On
more...
a bed.
I told my mom this was going to be a halal show.
Hey,
hold on.
I'm using
Sorry,
family-friendly
Mom. Now, hold
language
on.
here.
Yeah.
Here, see, that was a manipulation. The establishment wanted to run Joe Biden. They knew they were going to be up against these rumors, so they took control of the narrative. The real story is there is a P-tape.
I see.
It is not of Trump. It is of Biden. And it's not women of the night. It's that Biden is old and incontinent
Pants.
and was sitting in the bed and he went, "Oh," and someone got it on camera.
Hey, let he who is without peeing their bed cast the first stone.
I think every person at some point in their life.
Yeah.
Just give over to it. When you ever have a dream where you're peeing in your dream and then you wake up and you're actually peeing?
Yeah.
No, I mean, maybe when I was
Did I say that out loud?
It happens.
I think maybe when I was a little kid.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I was a kid.
Not
When you were
last
like-
week
not
at
when you were
all.
40.
No,
Too.
not last week, no.
I don't know, man.
How do we pivot from that?
I don't know.
Where Ukraine came up, and then Joe Biden ceding territory to the Russians. Yeah. That was like
Food prices. Yeah, we were on
yeah,
food.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk food.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. I thought inflation was a good thing. CNN didn't
Yeah,
CNN,
more money in
If
your
you read the
pocket.
news.
Didn't CNN write that inflation was a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Intercept also. I think you
Yes.
highlighted
that
that.
pissed me off.
Yeah.
Bloomberg.
So there was
Inflation is good.
Yeah.
There was a Twitter thread that I highlighted today. It was actually I saw somebody retweet this thread where a guy basically says, average people, middle class people, poor people don't understand what it's like being rich, and they assume they assume a lot of things about rich people. Now the funny thing is, I certainly think the guy was like, I wish poor people could spend a day in the shoes of a rich person so they could understand. And I'm like, dude, being rich is great. Being poor sucks. However,
You ever watch Trading Places?
Yeah,
but it is partly true. What he was basically saying is that the world is made for average people, not for rich people. And regular people have this assumption that rich people can do things they can't do. They can just get whatever they want.
Yeah.
So this is what really bothered me about. This is a good context in relation to the Intercept article. The Intercept article talking about inflation when people can't afford to eat was like the rich people hate inflation. And I'm just like, no, they don't. They can exploit it very easily without question. They can exploit inflation. You buy a piece of property, the property spikes when inflation hits, and then you sell it later and you kept your money. You didn't lose any buying power. A poor person, they can't buy property, so they get a paycheck and then it's just worth 10% less, when they put it in their savings. But it is true. And it's important to point out, people in this country don't understand how finance laws work. They don't understand how money works. So they get screwed over by the likes of The Intercept. They get screwed over by the likes of CNN. But the weirdest thing is, how does someone read CNN and see inflation is good as an op-ed, and then read food is more expensive than it has been and it's hurting people, and just be like, I'm going to keep reading this publication? Like, they told me two different things, but whatever.
Some people just want to they want to have their biases confirmed. And these news publications, the corporate media, will just continue to feed them that drivel, even if it works against their own self-interest. And at the point, it's like the glutton that you keep feeding it, and they're killing themselves.
I was just going to say drugs. There's probably a lot of drug addicts out there who don't know and have any common sense or sense of reality, and they're just blindly gazed at CNN with their mouth drooling open, and then, just losing IQ points as they engage more in that dribble and absolute nonsense, because there's no way to see the real life ramifications of inflation and then to think that it's okay. Inflation, of course, first affects the most poorest people, since, of course, common goods go up that are mostly readily available for everyone. And of course, later down the line, it impacts a lot of other people.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.